Fight! Hello and welcome to the N64 Japanese Eye. As always, this is a show where we take a look at the Japanese exclusive N64 titles and try to answer one simple question. Can you play and enjoy them without knowing any of the Japanese language whatsoever? Now, many people, myself included, absolutely adored the two Goemon games which were released here in the West. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon was a great open world 3D adventure, and whilst Mystical Ninja 2, or Goemon's Great Adventure as it was known in North America, that gave some old school 2D side-scrolling action. What many people didn't realise is there was actually a third Goemon game that was released in Japan exclusively, so for today's episode let's take a look. Before we take a look at this game, as always, let's take a look at the packaging first. The cover is as you'd expect from a wacky Goemon game, and it's quite beautiful and features the whole gang in various poses. It would perhaps be easy to overlook this, as there is nothing on the cover which would indicate what style of game this is. Turning over to the back of the box is very text heavy, but there is a cool image showing the game's transfer pack compatibility, which links the Game Boy version of the game so you can transfer your game data. The cart label is fitting with the rest of the very Japanese stylings, and the manual itself is quite a thick one, with lots of very text heavy pages which are broken up with some colourful pages containing great artwork. No fan of the Goemon series would be disappointed by the box and the art of this set. So turning on the game, and there's nothing in the way of an intro sequence, which is a little disappointing, as I always love the Goemon N64 game cutscenes with their great humour. So now would be a good place to tell you what this game's all about. As I mentioned before, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon was a great open world adventure, and the sequel took the game back to its 2D roots. Continuing the trend of changing game styles within the series, Goemon Mononoke Sugoroku is a board game in the style of the Mario Party series. However, instead of minigames, you have a card-based battle system which you face your opponents with. It's fairly easy to use trial and error to work your way through the menus, as there is a single player mode, a multiplayer mode and an options menu. Jumping into the story mode, you choose from one of your favourite team members and then begin the game. The first world sees you pitted against a cat, and sadly you'll quickly learn that this game is very text heavy. Without knowing Japanese, everything will be lost on you for the most part, but the over-the-top expressions that you know from the Goemon series do make an appearance here, which can help to give you some idea of what's going on. You roll the dice and move around the board, and each turn you'll pick up a new card to add to your collection. The cards in the game are broken down into 3 different categories. Firstly, you have your monster cards, which have a ghost icon in the upper corner. These are the cards which you'll take into battle when fighting your opponents. These are the only type of card which you can change in the game, as you can upgrade them by raising the monster's level or combining them with other cards to boost their stats. Next, you have the status cards. These have an exclamation point in the upper corner, and you use these in battles to either help your monster boost their stats, or you can use it to damage your opponent's monster by lowering their abilities and so on. If you highlight one of these cards in battle, it will cause the character to flash to indicate that's who it will affect. So if you select food and your character starts flashing, you'll know it's to help their health. Finally, you have battle cards, which have a sword icon in the corner of them. These will alter your stats, and you select them before the battle begins. They will alter the health, attack power or magic power in different ways, but as a general rule, if they boost one area, then they'll take away stats from another area. I will be honest and say that I needed a guide to really show me and help me to know what's going on in this game. I found it incredibly confusing, and if you try to play without understanding the cards, it's near impossible to win. You do need to spend some time learning how to read the cards, but once you get a feel of how the health, magic and attack power is displayed, you should be able to go into battles confidently and win some well-deserved fights. The aim of the game is to be the last character standing. You see at the top of the screen the HP is displayed, while as you move around the board you can be called into or enter battles, and if you lose you'll drop HP. As you and your opponents progress around the board, you can drop monsters on those spaces, and if you choose any opponents who land on them, they will need to go into battle. However, doing anything in battle does cost money, so when you're playing the main board you'll see little wooden houses which you want to aim for. When you land on them you will get money once for each time. So to master the game, you'll really need to learn how to move around the board quickly to gain money which will aid you in battle. So that's the basic of the game wrapped up, but I must say for me it was the graphics which really caught my eye in this game. The boards are all themed around the classic moments from the Goemon series, which if you're a long-time fan, you'll totally dig the references and sights to see. They each have their own distinctive look and feel, and the higher the difficulty you go, the more wooden cash huts and multiple routes there are around the board. The characters are all animated fantastically, and you can zoom in and out of the board without the graphics becoming blurry or fuzzy. There are also other characters and so on to unlock, but for me I always stuck to the 4 core characters, as they're the ones which I have the fondest memories of. It really doesn't matter which character you choose to play as, because it doesn't affect the gameplay in any way whatsoever. The controls are responsive and tight, but it's hardly a game which calls for precision. You move around the board, and it's basic button pressing with some occasional stick movements to select your routes and cards. It was the sound, however, that really made me fall for this game. Personally, I think the 2 Western Goemon games have perhaps some of the best music on any game on the console. It's just so damn catchy it's untrue. After less than 5 minutes of playing the game, I found myself whistling along to the tunes, and you'll be humming them for hours. If you played the Western Goemon games, then you'll know what I mean, but for everyone else who hasn't, it's very Japanese sounding in a very good way. Like all the other board game titles, this really is a game that is suited to play in multiplayer with up to 3 friends. The problem is that due to the learning curve of the game, you'll be hard pushed to be able to get friends up to speed on how to play before they'll lose interest. Thankfully, the computer opponents are quite fun to play against, so even if you're going solo, there is still fun to be had. Personally, I love this game. There is no way on this earth, however, though, it's a game you should all rush out to buy. I don't think many people will care all that much for its Mario Party meets Magic the Gathering style, and without spending a few hours learning the basics, you really won't have any fun with this game, even if you're a long-time Goemon fan. However, if you generally like slower paced games and have the patience to put in some hours into learning something new, then this really may be a game for you. There are no English translation patches online, so you need to make sure that you've got a good guide, and then you should go on to enjoy the game. In terms of adding this to your collection, it's not an all that common game to find, but it's by no means difficult to pick up. I would suggest staying away from places like eBay, where I've seen copies sell for over $50, and try to source it on an import indie game store website where you should be able to pick it up for less than $30. So the all important question we try to answer in every episode is, can you play and enjoy this without knowing Japanese? Well, the answer for this game is no. Although with some trial and error you should be able to figure it out, but my fear is that many people will be too frustrated by that point to want to continue playing. So was this the first time that you've seen and heard of this elusive third Goemon N64 game, or have you played this before? Perhaps it's piqued your interest and you're now thinking about giving it a go. Whatever's in your head right now, why not drop a comment down below as we kick off this episode's discussion in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.